All right, hello, welcome to the second video lecture in the Writing and Language Note series. Today we're going to be focusing on a very specific type of question on the SAT, which is sentence addition and deletion. So I'm just going to give like a basic overview of this. So an addition question will give you a passage and often provide you a sentence or sometimes a graph, and it'll ask you if you should insert that sentence into the passage to make it better, more cohesive, stuff like that. And a deletion question is very similar. It'll give you a passage with an underlined sentence and ask you if you should take it out. So these questions aren't very common on the SAT, but I think very they're very important to learn how to do because most questions on the SAT writing test are like grammar and punctuation and stuff. It's very objective. You know the right answer, but for questions like this, something that seems like the right answer might not be right. So I'm just going to walk you through like how to best approach these and how to get these right almost every time. So yeah, we'll first start with addition questions. So as I said before, they provide you a point in the passage and a sentence and ask you if it should be inserted at the given point. So each of these has four answers, just like any other SAT question, but two of them are yes, you should insert it, and two of them say no, you should not. And the thing that makes these answers different is they give different explanations for why you should or should not insert it into the passage. So yeah, let's just go ahead and talk about the overall strategy. So during the writing and language test, you always want to read the passage first to get the main idea of it. It's not necessary to, spend more than like maybe 1 or 2 minutes reading it and get every detail. You should just know the main point of the passage. And for addition questions, you want to look at the specific paragraph that the question is in and find the main purpose of that paragraph. So probably the most important thing is the purpose, as I said. If the sentence that the writer is considering adding does not match with the purpose, it's probably not correct. However, if it does, and it does contribute quality information to the discussion of the paragraph, then it's probably correct. So you just want to look at the purpose, and right off the bat, you can tell if it's probably going to be a yes or a no. But yeah, we're going to look at another indicator of whether the question is correct, which is location. So this one is not as easy to use as the purpose, but it's very helpful nonetheless. So yeah, does the paragraph flow smoothly without adding the sentence? A big indicator of whether a sentence should be added is if the paragraph contains like, two sentences that aren't really connected at all. And if the sentence the writer is considering adding makes a good transition between those two, then it should probably be added. Also, if the paragraph says something like I don't know, you'll see later, but if it says something that's not really explained earlier, but it is explained in the sentence they're considering adding, you should put that in. So yeah, you'll just see later when I do an example question. So at this point, you should have a pretty good idea of whether or not it should be added. So then you look at the answer choices. So as I said, there are two choices for yes and two choices for no, but they all four choices give a different reason. So if you have like if you find an answer that matches your decision, like yes or no, and it provides an explanation that's almost identical to yours, then that's probably correct. However, if it's not, you should just look through all the choices and find the one that makes the most sense. Yeah, and if you can't tell if the sentence should be put in or not, then just look through all the answer choices and try each one. And yeah, if you spend enough time doing this, you'll get used to it. And yeah, so I'll just go through the first example. So this one, it illustrates when you should add a sentence to the passage. So I kind of gave it away. That means it's answers A or B, but I'm just going to go through how I came to that conclusion. So right here is a just a basic breakdown of how I answered the question. But I think just listening to my commentary as I do it will probably be a lot more helpful to you. All right. So I'm reading this paragraph and I see that the main purpose of it is to describe the sculptor Constantine Brancusi and bird in space, which we can assume to be a sculpture of his. So in the first, uh, right now we'll look at the location of the question. So 23 right here is in between the first two sentences. So really, I only need to focus on those two. So the first sentence, it's talking about how he talked or how Brancusi discussed his goal of capturing the essence of flight through his art. And then the second sentence talks about bird in space, which is a bird. It's a sculpture of a bird, but it also talks about how it kind of relates to Brancusi's goal of capturing the essence of flight. So, as I said earlier, purpose, you should look at the purpose of the sentence and the passage to make sure that it doesn't go off topic. So we can see here, reading the sentence, more than any of Brancusi's other works, the 1926 sculpture Bird in Space manages to achieve that aim. So it seems to be on topic. It talks about Bird in Space and, yeah, just how Brancusi had, it says achieve that aim at the end of the sentence. We can assume that means seeking to capture the essence of flight. So it's not off topic. So it seems like it should be added, but we're just going to go through a few more things just to make sure that's the right answer. So in the second sentence, you can see Bird in Space is a work of abstract art. What's strange about this is it doesn't really say what Bird in Space is. It just it forces you to make the assumption that it's a sculpture from Brancusi. But if you look at the sentence here, it says more than any of Brancusi's other works, the 1926 sculpture Bird in Space, that introduces Bird in Space as a sculpture of his. So this provides missing information that makes the paragraph flow a lot better, which means that it's almost certainly correct. So now let's just look at the answer choices right here. So A and B are the ones we're really looking at because they both say yes, and that's the conclusion that I've come to. So the first one, yes, because it helps explain why the U.S. government would eventually recognize Bird in Space as a work of art. So reading this, the passage as a whole talks about how the government recognizes Bird in Space as a work of art, and how, like, this specific sculpture kind of changed how the government defines art. But that's not what this sentence right here is talking about. It's talking about achieving that aim, which in the first sentence is capturing the essence of flight. So A doesn't seem like a really good answer, but we'll come back to that. So let's look at B. Yes, because it provides an effective transition between the presentation of Brancusi's goal and the discussion of Bird in Space. So as I said, the second sentence talks about Bird in Space, but it kind of awkwardly introduces it. It just throws the name out there, but we don't really know what it is. And this sentence, if you do insert it, it is an effective transition. And also, in the first sentence, because he talks about capturing the essence of flight, this sentence right here links Brancusi's goal and the discussion of Bird in Space, which is answer B and is the correct one. So we're going to look at a different one. This is another addition question. However, it's different because the sentence should not be added. So in these questions, it's very common that the sentence is off topic, or in this case, it's a graph. So yeah, it'll be a graph or a sentence sometimes. But yeah, we'll just check this out. So right here, you can see where it's supposed to be added in this paragraph. I should have included the full paragraph, but like it was on a separate page and it was kind of hard to fit into this doc, so I'll just explain it. The paragraph that 25 is in talks about human court reporters and digital court reporting technology. So it's the main focus is talking about how human court reporters are still necessary despite the rise in technology. So we're just going to look at this graph and see, like, just first off, does it fit in with the purpose of the paragraph? So it's talking about the salary comparison of court reporters versus other occupations. So the salary is not, it's not very important in this context. So it seems like it's off topic. I think the biggest way to spot a sentence that should not be added is if it's off topic. So I'm going to say no right now, but I'm just going to look a little further. You can see here that it says legal occupations, court reporters, and all U.S. occupations. So as I said earlier, this passage is talking about court reporters only and digital court reporting technology, and basically how human court reporters are still, like, required to accurately report in the courtrooms and stuff, because technology does have its limitations. So it doesn't talk at all about legal occupations and any other U.S. occupations. So yeah, it's pretty off topic. We're going to say no for now. So let's look at the answer choices. So C and D, they both say no, but they have different reasons. So remember, I said my explanation for why this graph should not be included is because it's off topic. So if either C or D matches my reasoning, then I'm going to say that's the correct one. So C, it says no because it presents information that is not directly related to the paragraph's discussion of the role of court reporters. That's almost exactly the same reasoning that I used to say why this should not be added. So I'm going to say C is correct, but let's look at D to be sure. So D, no, because it does not provide information about the pay scale for more experienced court reporters. So this paragraph, the problem with the paragraph is not that it doesn't contain information about how court reporters with different levels of experience are paid. It doesn't talk about payment at all. So D is kind of unrelated too. So we're going to say C is the correct answer. All right. So now you should have a pretty good idea of how addition questions work. Here is a deletion question. So it's going to be pretty much the exact same steps. It's just deleting the question instead of, or deleting the sentence instead of inserting it into the passage. So yeah, follow the same steps as the addition ones. So this paragraph here talks about co-working spaces and kind of just provides a basic introduction. It seems like it's talking about it with the intended audience being someone that's not familiar with what a co-working space is. So it talks about like standard office equipment and where they're held, like meeting areas, large rooms, stuff like that. So now let's look at 28, the sentence in question. It's the cost of launching a new co-working business in the United States is estimated to be approximately $58,000. So this seems pretty off topic compared to the main discussion of just setting up what a co-working space is. So yeah, it doesn't talk about the cost at all. So that seems pretty off topic. And right now I'm going to say this should be deleted. So let's just go right to the answer choices. So C and D say this should both be deleted. C says deleted because it blurs the paragraph's main focus with a loosely related detail. So the cost of launching a new business, that's not really related to the main focus of the paragraph. So that seems C seems like it's going to be the correct answer, but let's just check out D because it also says it should be deleted, but it provides a different reason. So it says deleted because it repeats information that has been provided in an earlier paragraph. So I did not provide the whole passage that this question came from, but if you were to read it, you would find that the underlined sentence in 28 does not repeat any information. It's just kind of unrelated. So D is not the correct answer, therefore it's C. All right, so that's pretty much it. I have 2 additional practice questions. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to find questions about this, but these 2 I think are pretty good. So yeah, on the last page I included the answers. If you have any questions, feel free to message me or send an email or leave a comment on Google Classroom. Yeah, thanks for watching.